The session, as you know, will be recorded. I will forward it to you all afterwards, and it will be available on the IAC YouTube channel and the IAC on Webinar on Demand page. Now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our facilitator today, Leanne Caldwell. We actually first met at Amex in Vegas in October, and I'm delighted to welcome Leanne to deliver her first webinar to IAC. Over to you, Leanne. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Um, my name is Leanne Calderwood. I'm in Kelowna, BC, Canada. If there's anyone from Canada, will you let me know in the chat? I know we have multilingual, people from all over the world watching today, but I always want to give my Canadian friends a little shout out. Some of you may know me on LinkedIn as being the LinkedIn lady. However, I wasn't always the LinkedIn lady. In fact, I really only started to dial into LinkedIn around 2016. And that's really where kind of I was getting my feet wet, learning about the platform. What was this thing? How did it differ from the different social media platforms? And I was starting to see a lot of traction. It was starting to, I was connecting with clients, I was connecting with prospective clients as well. And then something happened in 2018 that was really that light bulb moment for me on LinkedIn. So I opened my LinkedIn one day and I went to my DMs. By the way, if you received a DM from me yesterday, let me know that in the chat as well. Oh, hey, Jody from Kingbridge. So I opened my DMs in 2018 and received a note from my competitor. Now, this competitor, he was kind of a friendly competitor. He was one of those guys I would see at a trade show, similar to the trade shows that you guys attend. And he was a good guy. He always had a nice suit on, always wore a tie, actually. He was the kind of guy you thought, if he was at home in his house right now, there'd be a swear jar in his kitchen for his kids. Kind of that kind of guy. Really good egg. But this is the note he sent me on LinkedIn. Oh, sorry. He said, Leanne, every time I come on to LinkedIn, there you are kicking my butt. Can we have a conversation? So now, before I was a butt kicker, I did exactly what most of you do, and I work in the meetings and events industry. I'm in with Conference Direct as a site selection associate. But now I do a lot of training and speaking, and especially around LinkedIn, because it was really through LinkedIn that I grew that business, which from this gentleman who reached out to me with a DM, offered me a brand new job opportunity. But now fast forward, it's offered me the opportunity to grow another business as a trainer and speaker. So that's what I do now is I show other people how to use this elusive platform that some of you are using, some of you maybe want to use a little bit better. And it's turned into even more than a business tool. It's turned into something that's attracted speaking opportunities, podcasting opportunities. This thing right here is a result of my LinkedIn presence. So it afforded me things that I never even thought possible when I first jumped onto the platform. So here's what we're going to do collectively today to kind of hopefully get you back onto the platform is we're going to really look at three things that really ramp up your brand when you're using LinkedIn. We're also going to look at the top areas of your LinkedIn profile. That's going to be your key marketing tool when you're using LinkedIn. And then we're going to look a lot at the LinkedIn content. That's the needle mover. That's really what propelled me into this different phase of using LinkedIn was diving into the different ways that we can use content. Now, there is a workbook for today's session. You can scan the workbook using this QR code here. And Kate, I might just quickly put the link to the workbook also in the chat, y'all, if you prefer that. So you'll find it in the chat there, a link to the workbook. All of the best slides, all of the best content from today can be found in that workbook. So if you would prefer to enjoy this webinar and not have to take screenshots every now and again, the workbook's going to be the best place for you to do that. All right, and of course, if we have not connected yet, that is the QR code for us to connect. And if you have questions on how I created this QR code, That's something that LinkedIn helped me with as well. And if you have questions, drop those in the chats and I will let you know. And thank you everyone who's Kate, you got my DM. I'm so glad. Is it Venu? Venu got my DM as well. I'm so glad that you got my DMs because DMs is really where the magic happens. So I'm glad that you guys are checking that out. It's in my opinion that using LinkedIn and its features will set you guys apart. And it will attract attention through inbound marketing, which means people are reaching out to you, as opposed to maybe how some of us grew up in this industry where we were always reaching out to others. We were always trying to connect with others. When you use LinkedIn and its features, you'll find those people, the people that you want to talk to, start reaching out to you. And you have the ability to direct what that looks like. And I'm going to show you how you can create your own LinkedIn toolkit today. Now, before we start, I got to ask, when was the last time that you used LinkedIn? A Slido poll is going to pop up shortly. I know you guys are QR coded out already and we're only 5 minutes in. But if you could snap that QR code and vote on the poll and let me know, when was the last time that you were active on LinkedIn? I know some of you, it was today because you got my DM. So make sure you hit today. But for some of you, was it in the last week? Perhaps it was in the last month. And no shame, perhaps it's been so long you can't remember the last time. Okay, we've got a lot in the last month, a lot in the last week. Oh, that's awesome, you guys. A lot today, 40% of you today. Holy cow, that is a huge number. Good. You know what that tells me, folks, is that you're ready to play a bigger game. You are showing up on the platform, and now you're ready to dial into the activities that move the needle just a little bit more. And for those of you who it's been a while since you've been on LinkedIn, don't worry, I've got you as well. In fact, what we're going to do with you folks is we're going to stop those bad habits on LinkedIn from even starting because we're going to start straight from scratch. But if it's been a while since you've been on LinkedIn, I need to kind of show you what's happened over the years. Now, as some of you recall in 2003, and confession, I was around in 2003. Some of you millennials, maybe not. But let me know in the DMs if you remember when LinkedIn launched. It was the second social media platform to launch back in 2003. And if you recall, back then, it really was that resume posting platform. So what you did, and again, let me know in the chat if you've done this, but you literally had your paper CV on one side of the desk and you literally typed it into your LinkedIn profile. That is how it happened back in 2003. Now, a lot has happened since then. And in 2012, that's when it started to change. That's when they introduced an influencer program, not thought leadership, an influencer program where they invited big names around the world to get on the platform. I don't know if they paid them to do it, but whatever happened, you saw people like Bill Gates. Who else were the other names? Gosh, it was so long ago, but there was like this handful of 15 massive worldly influencers that were posting their stuff on LinkedIn. And that's when it became that resume job posting platform into a thought leadership platform. And that's kind of where it brings us to today, is it really is more about thought leadership than it is about jobs. Now, don't get me wrong, you can still get a job on LinkedIn, 100%. People are still posting their best job postings on LinkedIn. It is still people are still getting hired every 6 seconds through a LinkedIn job posting. But for those of us who love our jobs, pick me, we do something else different with the tool and we enhance our jobs. So here in 2025, there's roughly 1 billion users on the platform. In fact, I created my son's LinkedIn profile about 1.5 years ago, and he was like in the 1.1 billions was his little LinkedIn number. My LinkedIn number, I think, is in the 12 million. Anyways, doesn't matter. The point is you can find out, number one, you can find out when you started on LinkedIn, and you can also get your number of where you are in the sequence of people who would join the platform. That's an aside. Here's the thing that I want you to remember though. Of those 1 billion people, Only a little bit north of 2% of us post on the platform more than once a week. But yet 17% of us use it daily, 49% of us use it once a month. But the 2% that post on the on content weekly, those are the ones that have the advantage. That's when that guy reached out to me and said, Leanne, you're kicking my ass. I wasn't kicking anyone's ass. I was just posting stuff on the platform. I was part of that 2%. And so that's where the content, regardless of the content type, that's really what gets you the visibility and moves the needle is when you show up in people's home feed because you're simply creating content as this elusive 2%. So we're going to talk a lot about the 2% content today. Here's the other opportunity that LinkedIn presents to us is a majority of people on LinkedIn are in those demographics that we want to attract to our product and service. In fact, I find it quite hilarious that I'm almost aging out of this bloody chart. But most of the people that are making decisions are in the demographic that we want to impact and influence. And it's also where relationships start. In fact, they did a study a few years back, and they discovered that 73% of buyers are more likely to consider a brand if their salesperson actually connected with them on LinkedIn. And I'm going to show you today how to make that connection without feeling like it's a sales connection and it's something more of a relationship building connection. But 73%, that's a big number. That's obviously a number that we never saw 10 or 20 years ago, or God forbid, us in our 90s who grew up with those traditional sales methods of picking up the phone or sending an email. This is a new way of doing business, and if you're able to tap into some of its potential, you'll probably see your business shift a little bit as well. So again, for those of us who were around in 2003, it was all about having a resume. It was all about me, I need a job and I need to look for a job. Or you were an HR manager and you're like, I need to find people for these jobs. And if we didn't need a job or didn't need to post a job, we ghosted the platform. But today, now our presence is no longer about me. It's about our audience. It's about the people that we want to do business with. And then people, when we find the people, we need to make it easy for them to do business with us and reduce those friction points. And then we just show up consistently. For most of you, it's showing up once a week. That's what consistency can look like on LinkedIn. So how do we get started in doing all of these things and driving those business leads and attracting them to us and our product and service and using LinkedIn as a marketing tool? In my opinion, everything that we do on LinkedIn, all the different features, all the things that pop up and disappear from the platform, they fall into one of three buckets. It's either going to fall into a bucket that helps us create content, a bucket that helps us create a really rock star profile, or a bucket that helps us grow our network. And when these three buckets work in concert with one another, man, that's where the magic happens, right smack in the middle. So I want to give you guys tools so that you can level up your game a little bit in all of three of these buckets, because that's when the magic happens, is when they work in concert together. So we're going to go through these buckets one by one. And we're going to start with my most favorite one, the LinkedIn profile. So you know what your LinkedIn profile is. This is your online representation of your professional achievements in your professional career. And of course, it's as unique as your fingerprint, and it's going to look different from everyone else. And I want to show you today how you can even stand out even a little bit more than you already are. Now, when someone comes to our LinkedIn profile, they're really looking for four pieces of information besides our name. They're looking firstly at your background photo. Now, the background photo, that's that big banner that sits behind your profile picture. You've probably seen it before. By the way, anyone want to confess that their background photo looks like this one on the screen right now? That's kind of the generic one that LinkedIn gives us before we have the opportunity to customize it. It's okay if you don't want to confess that, but here's the great opportunity is this is kind of like that billboard. And when you're driving down a highway, we see those billboards. They stick out. It's also something that we see for only a fraction of a second. So we have an opportunity to catch people's attention with this background photo that gives people pause and encourages them to stay on our profile just a little bit longer. So now if you have the opportunity to create your own background, here are the dimensions I want you to write down when you go over to Canva or your other design tool. It's 1580 before, I'll repeat that. 1584 by 396. 1584 by 396. That's the dimensions of your LinkedIn background photo. But here's what we want to do when we get to that design tool is because this is a billboard on a highway and we've only got a fraction of a second to catch people's attention, less is more. So we want to avoid clutter, but we also want to catch their attention with our unique selling proposition. And here's the fun thing. If you can tuck in a call to action, now we're going to back to how do we make it easy for people to do business with us? So for some of you, that could be your organization's website, right? If you work for a convention center, that could be your convention center's website. Sometimes on my background photo, I literally say just DM me, and then people can reach out to me in the LinkedIn DMs. So consider a call to action to, again, just take that friction point away so that when someone comes to your LinkedIn profile and they're starting to crunch on you, they're starting to think, hey, this person can actually help me. Now, what do I do? Well, guess what? This is what you do. You check out our website, or you DM me, or you email me, whatever CTA you'd like to put in your call to action. Now, I want to show you a few examples of banners, people from our industry, if you don't mind, banners of people who, in my opinion, are nailing it. So this is my good friend, Heather Reed, also a Canadian, Jody. She's in
Yay.
London, Ontario. Sorry, was there a question? No? Okay, good. So this is my friend Heather. And Heather is she's an educator around event contracts. So she literally teaches event planners the art of negotiation. What I love about her banner, she's got her CTA right there. She has her USP. Like, this is what she does. There is no trying to figure out what it is that she does. So I really, I love her background photo. This is Eric Rosenberg. Maybe a few of you know Eric. He is going to WEC in a couple of weeks. If any of you are going to be at WEC, will you let me know? Because I'll be there as well. Actually, Mark Cooper will also be there. So let's get together, y'all. Anyways, here's what I love about Eric's background photo. Number one, his spacing is perfect because as you can see, his profile photo on the left-hand side doesn't cover any text, right? Make sure that you leave white space for your head. But he's got his USP really built well into his background photo. He's literally, his existence is to help meetings and events businesses grow. This is my friend Roy. He is a branding and promotional products expert out of Australia. What I love about his photo is their USP is this really wonky video brochure. It's beautiful. He showcases this right in his background photo because this is something that his competitors aren't either they don't have or they don't realize the potential of. So that's what I love about Roy is he's showing his USP, like literally showing his USP right in his background photo. And the final one I want to show is from one of my students. Her name is Tanya. She's a hotel sales manager in Alberta, Canada. Her background at the top there, that used to be her background. That's beautiful. I think that's Lake Louise, which is one of the geographical locations where she has a hotel. And it's beautiful, but it didn't tell the story. And so Tanya and I worked together to weave in a story that just made it a little bit more impactful. What I love about her background photo now, where she's added that where meetings and mountains come together, is it really hits her ICA in the feels. If you're a meeting planner looking for that beautiful destination for your board meeting, your conference, that is what's going to create an impact where your meetings and your mountains come together, just hits you right in the feels. So is there a way that you can make your background photo hit people right in the feels? This is my friend Kunchin, and we did something a bit different with hers. We needed a bit more of a corporate feel because she was trying to attract corporate leaders. This is her USP, is she works with women in culture. She does it in corporations, so we've got a bit of a corporate feel there, but she's still got her CTA right there. That is how you get a hold of her. There's no escaping how you would start to engage. So I wouldn't mind knowing now if you can jump in the chat, where is your background photo? Are you kind of the generic background photo, maybe even a generic photo? Goodness gracious, we should talk. Are you starting to kind of build a bit of a background photo? You're starting to weave in a few of your keywords. Or are you like my friend Kunchin and you've dialed in your keywords, you've got the right imagery, and you have a CTA? So I would love to know in the comments, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? How do you feel your background photo is shaping up? And I'm just going to have a drink of water while you guys let me know in the chat here. Yeah, Jody. Yeah, I don't know, Jody, if you know Heather Reed, but she's oh, a 0. Okay, so we have someone who confessed 0. Can I just say you are now set up for success? You now have all the tools you need to now create this amazing. Oh, it's Tiffany and Hannah's a 4. So you guys have all the tools you need now to level up your background photos. And now that you guys know where to find me on LinkedIn, let me know when you update your background photo. Just send me a DM and say, hey, Leanne, I saw you on the IACC webinar. I updated my background photo. Can you take a look? I would happily do that for you. So please, please, please do that. And Cindy, if you're able to work with your marketing team, Cindy, and ask them if you can add some of those keywords, right? The things that are going to impact your ideal client. Hopefully, and I get it. I get that we have these corporate and organizational templates that we have to work with. But the verbiage is really what's going to get people's attention when you use the right keywords, right? Look at Eric's for an example. There's not a lot of keywords, but he sure has dialed in the right keywords. So I want to encourage you, though, for those of you who have organizational banners, to see if you have a conversation with your marketing team. Okay, we're rolling along. I know I'm long-winded. We're going to talk about our headline. So the headline really acts as the hook so that people dive deeper into your profile. Now, again, going back to 2003, when we first got our headlines, it was literally our job title. But then LinkedIn gave us the opportunity to customize that headline. And so if we were just to keep our job title, and let's say your job title is a sales manager, when someone Googles sales manager on LinkedIn, they're going to get over 17 million results. And you can whittle that down if you're a director of sales or if you're a meeting planner, you're still getting thousands and thousands of results. But when we include other keywords into our headline, those results shrink, which means you start to rise to the top. So let's look at my friend Roy again. Roy, gosh, I love this kid. He dials it in. So Roy is a company owner. That's his job title. He owns this company. But look at his headline. Number one, his headline doesn't even talk about him being a company owner. But here are some of the keywords that he has infused into his headline: promotional products, brand awareness, merchandising, video brochures, marketing. So when someone goes to the LinkedIn search engine and maybe says promotional products, there's a high likelihood that Roy's going to pop up, even though his job title is owner of a company. So this is the opportunity that you guys have as well. Here's Eric again, right? He's got event entrepreneurs in there. He's got that he's an author. He's got business and meetings. He has some of those keywords. He is a trainer, but when you start to include those keywords, you have an opportunity to impact and influence. Let's look at Kunshin again. This is her headline. Once again, Kunshin is a company owner. But here's where she sets herself apart is that women of culture, that sustainable organization. Now she's created this environment where people cannot mistake what it is that she does. Even look at her background photo and her headline. Those things match. They are matchy match. There's no disconnect between those two assets. And that's really what can create change on the platform for you. Tanya's the same way. She's got meeting planners, exec assistants, meetings, Fairmont, Banff, Lake Louise, Jasper, Whistler. She has all of these incredible keywords so that when her meeting planners come to the platform, they can find her easy. And better yet, when she calls out meeting planners right there in the headline, they know they're in the right place. They know that Tanya could be their person to help them with their thing. So I want to challenge you now. If you have a current headline that reads, Venue Sales Manager, is there opportunity to maybe expand that to include your ICA, the person you're trying to impact and influence, or include some of your USPs, what makes you different from the other convention centers? So these are just ones that I've riffed off, and I'm not going to lie, AI may have helped me with a few of these, but you can kind of pick out the keywords. You can kind of underline, oh yeah, these are keywords that I think could resonate and I can use in my headline as well. So again, I got to go back. I've got a few more here, but while you're reading these and kind of picking up on those keywords, let me know in the comments how your headline is looking. Is there some keywords that you're finding that you can now infuse into your own headline? So just let me know in the comments if there's been any aha moments as you find different words that you want to use in your headline as well. When you're doing your headline, make it more about the other person than it is about you. It's fantastic if you have some awards and accolades, but there's a place that we can use those. Keep them out of the headline for now. Make sure that it's keyword rich, include a CTA, and friends, be bold, be relentless about what it is that you are doing on the platform. If you want to connect with meeting planners, that's what you drop right there in your headline. All right, so I'd also like you to jump in the chat and let me know any words that might pop up for you as being keywords. Is it venue sales? Is it convention center? Is it meeting planners? Maybe some of you, in fact, I think most of you are trying to impact meeting planners in some way or form. Just let me know in the chat what keywords are maybe popping up for you. And I'll just give you a quick minute and then we'll move on. Any words that are popping up for you guys? Do y'all have really great headlines? If you do, unforgettable events. That one's beautiful. Business retreat. Ooh, I love that one. So in the same way, if you want to send me a revamped headline for me to take a look, exceeding expectations, one event at a time. So Jamie, so let's go through this, Jamie. I want you to absolutely use that. Memorable meetings matter. I love that, Anna. I want to go back to Jamie's for a second. And here's why, Jamie. So you are going to have those words in your headline. I think that's incredible. But make sure you front load it with something different. So whether it's like a helping meeting planners, so when you front load it, it's got to be with words that are going to impact your audience. So the word exceeding expectations is beautiful, but a lot of industries and service providers exceed expectations. So where's that industry word that we can front load our headline with that'll capture the attention of our ICA? So in Anna's suggestion here, memorable meetings. So that word meetings is front loaded, which is really great. Cindy, Princeton's hidden gem, that's front loaded. That's really great. Venue sales partner, yeah, it's a front load. So Jamie, I want you to keep what you've given because you've got lots of real estate to do it, but let's front load it a little bit before we get to how we exceed expectations, one event at a time. Any questions about that? Keep dropping them in the chat, but we're going to move on. And friends, your headline can change. You can change it every single day. I change mine once a month. And I don't even know what my headline reads now. I think it has that I'm speaking at WEC in a couple of weeks. I typically put where I'm going to show up and do some speaking engagements. That's my CTA, or that's my connection point. You'd be surprised how many people DM me and say, "Oh, hey, I saw that you're speaking at WEC." Chances are they got that out of my LinkedIn headlines. So change it up as you need. All right, we're going to move on to the about section now. We don't have time on this call to craft our entire about section, but we are going to go through some best practices. For starters, the about section is incredibly long, which is great. This is the opportunity for you to really shine, but also to put the spotlight on your ideal customer. Once again, it's not about me, it's about the people I'm trying to impact and influence. But we do write it to them in first person. So I consider the about section kind of as a bit of a love letter to my ICA. And in the same way that we front loaded our headline with those keywords, where our first sentence in our about section is going to be bold. It's going to have those keywords as well. Because that section is so long, people have to hit see more or read more to read more about you. So you got to catch them at the beginning. If we don't have that bold hook, they may not be tempted to read more. And of course, a call to action. Now, this is a long section. I don't expect you to read it, but I want to show you a couple things of Kanchan's about section. Number one, look at that hook. Are you a woman of culture looking to make a bigger impact at your organization? Why is that so powerful? Let me tell you why. If you're not a woman of culture, you're moving on. And Kanchan is okay with that. But if you are a woman of culture, holy cow, now you have my attention. Now I got to figure out, what are you talking about? How can you help me? And so Kanchan goes on to tell her story as being, because she is a woman of culture. And so now she's created that relatability. So this is really the only section of her profile where it's about her, but it's to create that relatability with her audience. And then she goes on to talk about her audiences. And as you can see at the very end, she's got that CTA. So there's lots of, oh, sorry, where am I? Here we go. Roy. The reason I have the QR code up is Roy's about section is gorgeous, but it's a little too long to put on this slide. So if you want to check out Roy's about section, you can click on that QR code. Let me just start with the hook though. Could your business strategy use a boost? Do you need your brand stories told, carried into homes, offices, and everyday moments? That's the hook. If you can answer yes to those questions, then you're going to read on. So I encourage you to kind of take a look at Roy's profile at your convenience. The last piece is the contact information. And whoo boy, this is the accountability part of the webinar, folks. When people pull up your account or your contact information, make sure that it reads what you want it to read. So what happened in 2003 when we started our LinkedIn profiles is we were only allowed one email address. Now, and most of us chose a personal email address because heaven forbid we leave our organization or we get fired from our organization, we need to be able to access our LinkedIn profile. So we used our personal email address. The problem was then when people pulled up our contact information, they got our personal email address. Now things have changed and you can add multiple email addresses to your account and you can signify which one is the primary one or the one that will read on your contact info. That's where you want your professional email address to reside. And friends, time and time again, I have tried to email sales managers at hotels. Remember, I'm with Conference Direct. But I get their personal email. And I'll be honest, if I have to email hotstuff@yahoo.com one more time to get information about a hotel, I'm going to poke myself with a fork. So make sure your contact information reads your professional email address. And if you have questions about how to do that, you can drop that in the chat. And Kate, what we'll do, Kate, is I'll go live on the platform at the end and show them how to do it. Okay, so that brings us to the end of that rapid fire profile review. Let me know if you are an A, B, or C. A, meaning you've got a lot of editing to do. B, you just got a few tweaks. You're my rock stars. Or C, you are a rock star. That's that movie Rockstar. Do I have any rock star fans in the room? You're a B. Oh, Krishna, you're a B. That's awesome. Okay, we have some A's, but now you guys are set up for success, right? You've got all the tools. You know how to get a hold of me. You're in good shape. Friends, don't worry. This is a weekend project, and I've got an opportunity that I'll share with you at the end of the session as well. Listen, our profile is a lot more than those four things, but if you want a checklist, it's not really a comprehensive guide, but it is a checklist. You can download a checklist and it'll tell you, make sure you got this section, that section, the other section, and this section here filled out for your profile. All right, moving on. Now we're looking at that second circle, the networking circle. Remember those three circles we had? The networking is the circle, I think it's the forgotten middle sister. It really is the one that, yeah, if I have time, I'll work on my network, but I'd rather work on my profile because that's fun and sexy, right? Or I'd rather work on my content because that's the needle mover. But without a robust network, no one's going to see your content and no one's going to check out your profile. So we really need to focus on the middle sister and give her a little bit of love as well. And so we want to make sure that our profiles are open and we're growing it with the right people. And when I say right people, I don't mean just your clients. These are people that will refer you or maybe want to work for you or work with you. These are people that if you post content on your platform, they might actually like your content. They might like your content, and that increases your visibility. So increasing your network is not just about connecting with your clients. It's about connecting with like-minded individuals because you never know what's going to pop up. Now, we're not going to go into all the ways that we should open up our network because I really want to talk about content. But can we go back? You know what? We're going to go back to our network for just 1 minute. I want to give you one thing that you can do today to grow your network. And that is to take a look around the room and start to drop your LinkedIn profile links into this chat, right? So let's drop our LinkedIn profile links into this chat and connect with the people in the room. There's what? How many, Kate, how many people we got? We got 38 people in this room. Some of them are probably already first degree connections with you, but I'm guessing they're not all first degree connections. So friends, let's do each other a solid. Let's drop our LinkedIn links in. Thank you, Krishna. Drop our LinkedIn links into the chat so that we can connect with one another. That's probably one of the easiest ways. And Mark, hopefully you're going to do this at WEC as well and start to connect with people at WEC. Just my little accountability tip for Mark there and anyone else who's attending WEC in a couple of weeks. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. Listen, I know that content is work, right? I'm a content creator. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Content can be exhausting, but if you consider content as a marketing tool, and maybe you swap out time you've been using on other marketing tools like cold calls, emails, whatever other activities you want to do here, this can really change your business. So this is what we're going to do with our content is we are literally going to attract people to us using our thought leadership and our content. I love that you guys are dropping your links in there. Thank you. That just makes my heart just so happy. So content can be time consuming, but if you can take 10 minutes today or this weekend, in fact, my 10-minute content brain dump is going to be done on my patio this weekend because it's going to be hot as ever in BC, and just start to doodle content ideas. What are some of your strengths or the strengths of the center that you represent? What are some of those differentiating factors? Even what are some of the values that you hold true, especially in a professional realm? What's the mission statement of your company? What are things that you're passionate about? And for 10 minutes, just doodle all of these things without being distracted, without looking at your phone. And before long, you have a stack of content ideas. Here's why content is so important, my friends. Number one, in 2022 pandemic year, 2022, the platform saw a 22% increase in engagement. What that means and meant during the pandemic, people started to come to the platform because we no longer had in-person networking. We needed to stay connected. And so people came to the platform and they built habits that now keep them on the platform. So in these post-pandemic years, LinkedIn is seeing more and more people on the platform, join the platform, um, create content, engage in content. People are coming there for information, and you want to be one of those that provides that information and becomes one of those 2%ers. And here's the thing, your content, it's not going to be perfect right out of the gate. In fact, it's going to be probably something you laugh at 3 years from now. But people aren't looking at for the perfect copywriting skills or the perfectly curated images. Those are kinds of things maybe Instagram is looking for, but not here. When you show up on LinkedIn, it's your willingness to be there and serve your community members. People are looking for that. They're looking for insights. They're looking for tips. They're looking for ways that they can improve their professional presence. In any way that you can do that, that's what you should be dialing into in your content. Now, in the same way that Facebook and Instagram has different ways of launching your content, LinkedIn has ways as well. I'm going to show you 3 of the most popular ways. There's more than 3, but let's just keep it to 3 right now. And I guess, again, guess what? If you're ready for leveled up, I'm just a DM away to say, well, that was easy. Let's get some other things into my content portfolio. The first one is the image post. This is the one you see most often. I'm sure you've all seen it in the home feeds, where it is literally a picture or 2 and then the context of the post. This one is great for those inspirational pieces of content or company announcements, right? Like new staff members, etc., upcoming events that maybe you're hosting at your center. Or maybe it's pictures from when you're out and about. Again, Mark Cooper, when you're at WEC, this is you taking a picture of the people you're with at WEC. Those types of things make really great and powerful image content. And I'm sure you've seen it. And if you have a piece of really great image content that you want to drop into the chat so other people can take a look, please do so. Here's the other one that is really easy to do. So if you've never created content before, you may want to start with a poll. And here's why. Polls, you don't have to create an image. You don't have to take a selfie. It is literally you're creating a poll out of copy. But polls are a really great way to engage another person because everyone loves to vote on polls. Why? Because it's super easy. There's no friction. I literally click a button or choose a letter. And so this opportunity with a poll, you've made it even easy for the person reading it. They don't even have to guess, what do I do with this? You know what you do? You vote. You tell me what you think. And the other thing that polls do really well that I've learned this through a lot of trial and error is the insights. So if you post a poll because you need data, you need information, try a LinkedIn poll. So very prosaically, let's say you want to try launch a poll about what do you like to put on your hot dog? We've got ketchup, mustard, relish, or other. And let's say 55% of people choose ketchup. Now, when you're manning your hot dog station, you know you need a lot more ketchup than you do mustard and relish. There are professional ways that you can get that insight and data as well. Like when you think of Stockholm, what comes to mind? A, B, C, or D. The insights from that poll may help you with some marketing ideas, may help you with what's going to attract people to Stockholm, or what are the myths we have to bust about Stockholm. So polls on LinkedIn are very, very insightful. And again, they're easy for the other person to take part in, to engage in. All right, video. We have to talk about video. 5 years ago, we didn't talk about video. Really, TikTok, we have TikTok to thank, but video has come on to be very powerful on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn selfishly is giving a lot of power to video. So when I was a video creator many years ago, and my videos would go nowhere on LinkedIn. Didn't mean I didn't do them. It just meant they weren't getting a ton of engagement. It's that pesky algorithm. Now the algorithm gives videos a lot more love. And so if you want to lean into video, now is the time. Now's the time to do those raw behind the scenes videos, walking through your convention center, walking through your cities, when you're out and about at events. Maybe if you have a fam and you're taking video of all the things you're doing with your fam. Mark, if you're walking the WEC floor, I know I keep picking on Mark, but he's the only one I know in the room who's going to WEC. So sorry about that, sir. Quick tutorials and tips. You can do so many things with video, and the algorithm is going to play nice, especially if it's your first few videos. It's going to pick up on that and give you even more love. So if you are okay to lean into video, and sadly, folks, we have no excuses because we've got video cameras in our hands 24/7. Take some video, post it on LinkedIn, see what kind of response you get to it. Now, when you're creating your LinkedIn post, so this is the copy part that accompanies that image, that poll, that video. In the same way that we did this with our headline and our about section, start with a strong hook. There's a lot of content on there. And so we want to make sure that we're attracting the right people. Start with a hook that encourages people to read on. And storytelling has really come on as being, of course, a very effective way to keep people engaged. Tell that story. Why are you creating this poll? Or why do you love Stockholm so much? That's the story you can tell before you ask about what people think of when they think of Stockholm. And if you can showcase thought leadership, those are those tips. Those are those career learnings, the things that you may have learned as you've gone up in the career. Those are the things that you add to your copy. You also want to share expectations. You know what? Now that you've created this copy, what do you want people to do with it? Do you want people to vote on the poll? Tell them that. Say, hey, I love Stockholm. I want to see what you love about Stockholm. Can you please vote on this poll? Tell them what you expect and include that call to action. Make sure you're tagging your contributors like at Visit Stockholm. By the way, is anyone here from Stockholm? Because I don't know why that came to mind for me today. I must have had a dream about it last night, but it's stuck in my brain. So if there's anyone from Stockholm in the room, let me know, because this is super unintentional. And then, of course, include that visual if you're not including a poll. I do want to talk a little bit about storytelling. Storytelling is what we're seeing on LinkedIn in the same way that stories on Instagram and Facebook have become very popular. When we bring the personal side of the professional to LinkedIn, we are impacting people on a much, much deeper level than we ever have before. Now, this doesn't mean we're telling stories about our cat. These are stories that have that professional lens. So, of course, I'm blanking out. They'll come to me. But here's what stories can help us do on LinkedIn, is it really builds connection and trust. People want to do business with people they trust and people they know. And stories can help us create that bridge to knowing what my name is, to knowing who I am. It's also going to differentiate your brand, your organization's brand, all of those things, and set them apart, just like Stockholm has, apparently, in my head today. But it also enhances memory and engagement. Our brains attach stories to humans. And so if you can tell a story, people are more likely to remember who you are. Or if they hear that story again, they're more likely to remember, oh yeah, Leanne talked about that once. Leanne was talking about Stockholm a lot that day. whatever that looks like for you. And it also, of course, showcases your values and your personality. And that's the people that we want to do business with, is those of us who share similar values, etc. So a very prosaic story structure. Start with that hook. We've got that hook. Then we're going to talk about what happened during that story. And then the climax of that story. What happened at the end of that story? And then we're going to take it down to what's happened since then, what I want you to take away from this story from a professional perspective. So I know we don't have a lot of time because I really want to go into Q&A and some algorithm hacks, but here's a very prosaic story that you can use as a framework, right? Ever face a challenge that seemed insurmountable at work? Here's what happened. You go into what happened, you go into how it ended, and now you go into what's happened since then. And here's what I want you to take away from this. Here's what I want you to learn. This is, by the way, not a real story. This is just an example story. Okay, I know we have a lot to cover in only 7 minutes, but let's go through some algorithm hacks on the platform. Hashtags. Hashtags are alive on LinkedIn, but it's not like Instagram. No more than 7. If you have more than 7, or anyways, you're not going to get as much reach. The algorithm's going to kind of shut you down. No external links in the copy. We have to get those external links out of our copy because the algorithm doesn't want people to leave the platform, right? They want people to stay on LinkedIn. And so the links, which would pull people off the platform, if they see that, they're going to be like, nope. So tuck them somewhere else. Tuck them in the visual. Tuck them in the comments, or ask people to DM you for more information. Good news about LinkedIn, you should only post once a day, or at max 3, 4, 5 times a week. It's not like Twitter or X or whatever he wants to call himself now, where you have to tweet like 14 times a day in order to be relevant. No more than once a day, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. I keep playing with this myself. I used to be a 5-time-a-weeker. I'm now trying to pull it back to 3, and it's interesting. The engagement on my 3 has gone up. So that's just a fun trial that I'm doing right now. Take what you will from that. If people are engaging in your content, engage with them. That's low-hanging fruit, man. They're engaging with your stuff, so let's make sure that you engage in return and stay top of mind. Here's the fun one. I need you to follow me through this. When you engage in someone else's content the same day or the same hour that you posted a piece of content, you'll get more reach on your content. So I'll repeat that. You post a piece of content, then you hang out on the home feed and you engage in other people's content. Your reach goes up. So take that for what you will, test it out, see if it works for you. It does work, by the way. It does work. Ideal character length between 7 and 900. Doesn't mean you can't go outside of these parameters. That just happens to be the ideal. If you go back to your content the next day and add an insight into the comments, that's great. Selfies are awesome. Selfies do well. If you're using video, make sure they have subtitles. We all kind of view video with our sound off. So make sure you do that. And excuse me, if you want to schedule your posts, like I know some of you do with your other marketing stuff, LinkedIn has a scheduling tool. So you can do it natively inside of LinkedIn. You can also do it with your other tools, but the algorithm prefers that you use LinkedIn's tool. Whoo! Kate, we have come to the end. Here's the link to the workbook, friends. If you didn't get it at the beginning, you can get it now. And like I said, the best of the best stuff is inside of that workbook. Now, for those of you who want to dive into LinkedIn even more than this super duper rapid fire session, I have a workshop coming up. So on June 24th, which is roughly 2.5 weeks from today, at 10 a.m. Pacific, which I think will be in the evening for some of you in the EU, I'm doing a 2.5-hour LinkedIn sprint. We're diving deeper into our profiles. We're diving really deep in how to grow our networks. And we're looking at some content tools that will keep you consistent. so that you never have to wonder, what am I going to write about today? And do I have time to write about it today? So we're going to do that on June 24th, and you can learn more at leoncalderwood.com/workshop. Kate, hi. Thanks for your
Hi.
patience.
Well, have
How
we
are
got
you?
we've got a couple of minutes left, Leanne. So have we got any questions from any of the group? I'm just taking a picture ready for LinkedIn. There we go.
I love it.
Any questions for Leanne?
And feel free to come off mute if you're able. Happy to field live questions as well. Oh, Jody, thank you for your content comment. I appreciate that. But yeah, happy to answer questions. Anything that you've got, or if you want me to jump on LinkedIn. Yeah. So Kate, I'm happy to stay as long as people want me to stay. So I'll give that to you. Oh, Stephanie, thank you. Oh, yeah, you guys are very sweet. Thank you. If questions pop up later, y'all, you know where to find me.
Excellent. And just to echo from the beginning, so I will send the recording out to you all. You all have the workbook and you can connect with Leanne through LinkedIn. But I'd just like to say, Leanne, thank you very much. Very fruitful session. And I'm sure everyone, well, clearly they're agreeing with me in the chat. So
Oh,
thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. And we'll see you on a webinar very soon.
see you soon.